Here's the story of how I shared some game-changing fretting hand advice with you guys, but got tons and tons of hate in return. So hi there, I'm Chris, and if you've been following me, you know that I'm a big fan of two-note per string pentatonic picking. And I think it sounds so cool because to me it's like a crossover between playing arpeggios and standard scales such as the minor or the major scale. And if you're not familiar with this style of playing, you might want to check out Eric Johnson, Zakk Wylde. These are some really cool examples of players who can shred away with the pentatonic scale. Now, since I've been working on this for quite a bit, I've tried to develop some approaches that would help me execute this technique in a reliable and clean and fast way. And one of them being the fretting hand. So in other words, how do you efficiently fret the notes? And there's a classical school here to have this kind of hand posture where you have the thumb far back on the neck. There are some advantages to this technique. Specifically, I'd say that for stretching, this is a superior technique. There are also some disadvantages of this technique, and one of them is very obvious if you just try holding your hand like this for more than a minute and then see how it feels. It's going to feel very strained and unnatural. However, if you hold your hand like this, you're going to find that this is a much more relaxed and natural posture for your left hand. So this alone is, I think, pretty clear evidence that whenever you can strive for this position, it is desirable as opposed to holding your hand like this. But there's more to it. On the classical guitar, you don't use this type of bending or vibrato. Because you have nylon strings, it doesn't really have any effect. The string just gets stretched out. But if you want to bend the strings, you also need a bit of leverage point here, right? Now you can do it with less of a leverage point, but it doesn't hurt to have some leverage point. These are some obvious reasons for why you would want to experiment with your left hand posture. But for me, the absolute biggest reason, it might not be quite as obvious, but I think the more advanced you get, the more it gets obvious that if you can control tension, then you can also be in control in general over your technique. So as far as my technique practicing goes, this has been one of the top priorities for me like the last 5 or 10 years to control tension. Meaning I kind of went back and fixed some stuff in my technique that didn't work precisely because I was using excessive tension. So, controlling tension is really good. But how do you control tension? Well, one rule is to not use, if you have the choice between using small muscles, so for example finger muscles, and big muscles like arm muscles, then you would go for the bigger muscles. But how do you apply this to playing? Well, one example is vibrato. So if you're using vibrato or bending a note, you could just use your finger muscles. Okay, so first a disclaimer here. I've been working for decades to avoid this, so I'm not really good at showcasing this. But if you think about a really shallow vibrato that doesn't sound very good, that's going to come from your finger muscles. Whereas if you think of a super wide and controlled vibrato, that's going to come from your arm muscles. This is a topic on its own, and I'd love to share it with you guys. But hopefully you can believe me, and if you don't, you can research it a little bit and you can see that I'm not alone in saying this. Use your arm muscles for bending and vibrato because you're going to be more in control with bigger muscles, and you're going to have to apply much less tension. And not only is that going to simplify your vibrato, but it's going to overall give you more control because you're not going to exhaust your small muscles, which are also needed. They're perfectly needed, so use them sparsely, I think is the word. Don't use them too much. Whenever you can use stronger muscles, do so, because you're going to remain relaxed and you're not going to exhaust your tiny weeny little muscles, okay? So that's as far as vibrato goes. But this also applies to other techniques and other things you do on the guitar. And here's a good example of this. Whenever I play 2 notes per string, I get much more strained if I have my thumb down here, okay? That doesn't mean I can't do it. I can do it, but usually with a bit less control and always with more tension as a result. Therefore, I try to, whenever possible, move my thumb up here when the passage allows for it. And this is key. And this is what people were throwing hate on me about. It's like, oh, how are you going to stretch? You can't stretch. How are you going to play an F chord? So just to clarify, I'm not saying people should play their F chords with a thumb up here. In fact, I would say that that's impossible. So you're going to have to switch between different hand postures. And this is kind of where I wanted to get at with this video, because I think this is extremely useful knowledge for you guys out there, or many of you. You don't want to limit yourself and stick to one hand posture only. That makes zero sense unless you're, I don't know, gonna work at some kind of circus and you want to be a one-trick pony. I don't know. No, you definitely want to adapt your hand posture according to what you're trying to play. So if you're trying to play a wide vibrato, why would you have your thumb down here? Makes zero sense. Just put it up here, right? Now, in reverse, if you would want to do like some stretchy stuff, then move your thumb down, right? There's no point in having your thumb up here and not being able to stretch, okay? So you want to adapt your hand posture to make it as easy as possible for you so that you can play better. Makes sense to me, right? So accordingly, if you're trying to play 2 notes per string and you have the choice between a posture that some classical guitarist told you were correct 40 years ago, or one that actually makes you play more relaxed and therefore giving you more control, then please do yourself a favor and go for the relaxed one. Remember, all you have to do is switch back to the classical position if you want to stretch or play your F chord. Okay? So you don't have to limit yourself. In fact, I would advise you to be as open as possible to testing new things. Now, of course, if you're just starting out, this is advice that's not really relevant for you anyway. So if you found your way to this video and you don't know anything about the guitar, then find another video. Sorry about this. I'm not trying to scare you away. I have content that's more suitable for beginners, but this is not it, right? So this is about people who are more advanced, playing 2 notes per string, fast playing. You definitely want to try this posture. And of course, if you're gonna play like this, and end with some bending, well, you're all set with a perfect posture. And again, if you need to go for some stretchy stuff, then yeah, I'm going in between, I'm moving the thumb. And then I can always move my thumb back up for that run. So you should move your hand posture. You should always try to adapt to what is going to be more comfortable for you. And especially if you're encountering problems. I could actually take a beginner example here. If you're new to playing bar chords, then you would experiment with your hand posture and your thumb's position. You should never do this when fretting a bar chord, but you should move your thumb and experiment. That's a very basic example. But whatever you're trying to do on the guitar, don't be afraid of experimenting. Experimenting will help you. If you see someone telling you to try a different posture, you could try it. You don't have to, go all in and be angry about it. You can if you want to. I mean, it's a free world and that's a good thing. But yeah, I think I've conveyed my message now. I also want to say that you might be wondering, like on a personal level, does it affect me with the hate coming? And I have to admit that it does. Whenever I see, some angry comment, I feel a little bit in my stomach just for a second. But then common sense strikes most of the time, and I think that, well, if they bother commenting, then my content probably was okay after all. And if they're that angry, and if they take the time to explain how useless my stuff is, maybe they're even a bit jealous. Who knows? When I find something that I find useless, I usually just keep on scrolling, right? Of course, the argument could be made that, some people are saying, oh, this is going to injure you. And in response to that, I want to say that, well, everything I teach revolves around the fact that you have to be relaxed and control tension. So the best way to injure yourself is to be tensed up, right? So the best way to prevent injury is to be relaxed, and that goes for anything physical you're trying to do. You want to be relaxed all the time, you want to be warmed up. And this advice is aimed at you finding the most relaxed technique to execute the runs or whatever you're trying to play. So the idea is to not injure yourself. In fact, when I started out, before I realized all this, I did injure myself. And then, believe it or not, I was using my thumb down here and playing very stretchy stuff. So that's how I injured myself. And I couldn't play for like 6 months. It was a horrible experience. So yes, be careful about your body, and especially if you're on the wrong side of 40 like me, then you really have to be careful. Injury is just there knocking at your door at any time. But yes, so be in control of tension. Be sure to be relaxed, always warm up, and experiment whenever you're encountering a technical difficulty, and see if you can, by adapting a new strategy, get past the obstacle. And hopefully this little tip can help you when it goes to playing fast two-note the string. That's all I wanted to say for today, and I also really want to thank you for watching. You've been a fantastic audience, and I've been Christopher Dahl. Thank you so much.